You've probably seen this photo before. A stone monument stacked like a wedding cake, a volcano rising behind it, and the sun coming up right between the two. It might be one of the most reposted travel photos on Earth, but for almost 800 years, that photo could not have existed. Not because cameras hadn't been invented yet, because nobody alive knew there was a temple in that jungle at all. The largest Buddhist monument ever built on this planet vanished from human memory so completely that when people finally found it again, they needed a rumor and 200 men with machetes just to prove it was real. So how do you lose the biggest religious monument on Earth? The answer changes everything you think you know about scale, silence, and secrets. Let's start with scale. Because what got built here, starting around 780 AD, still doesn't fully make sense. The Sailendra dynasty of Central Java began construction on a low hill outside what's now Yogyakarta. It took roughly 60 years. The king who started it never lived to see it finished. The king who finished it, Samaratanga, inherited someone else's unfinished obsession and carried it the rest of the way. Workers hauled 5,000 cubic meters of volcanic andesite up from nearby riverbeds, 2 million individual blocks stacked without steel and without cement, carved by hand into 2,670 relief panels, and 504 separate Buddha statues. But here's what's fascinating. Borobudur wasn't built to be looked at, it was built to be walked. The entire structure is a three-dimensional map of the Buddhist universe. The base represents the realm of desire. The middle terraces, stacked one on top of another, represent the realm of form. And the top three circular platforms, ringed with 72 perforated stupas, each one hiding a Buddha statue inside, circling a single central stupa, represent the realm beyond form entirely. Formlessness itself. Pilgrims didn't stand back and admire it from a distance. They walked it level by level, clockwise, a ritual called pradakshina, spiraling upward past more than a mile of carved stone narrative before they ever reached the top. This wasn't a monument you visited. It was a monument you had to walk your way out of. But it wasn't built to last forever. Not on purpose. Nobody meant for what happened next. By the 10th century, the center of political power in Java had shifted east, away from Borobudur entirely. Merapi, the volcano in that famous photo, erupted more than once, burying the region in ash. Over the centuries that followed, as the old Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms declined and Islam spread across Java, Borobudur was simply left behind. Nobody tore it down. Nobody defended it either. The jungle did the rest, one root and one layer of ash at a time. For close to 800 years, it existed only as rumor. A hill, locals said, with something buried inside it. Then, in 1814, Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, the British Lieutenant Governor of Java at the time, heard that same rumor on an inspection tour near Semarang. He sent a Dutch engineer, Herman Cornelius, to go check it out. Cornelius took 200 men into the jungle. For 2 months they cut down trees, burned back the undergrowth, and dug through layer after layer of volcanic ash just to expose the stone underneath. In places it was so unstable that Cornelius couldn't even finish uncovering every gallery. He was afraid the whole thing would collapse on his men. This wasn't lost the way a book falls behind a shelf. This was lost the way a language dies. Quietly, over generations, until nobody left alive remembers it was ever spoken. The largest religious monument human beings had ever built. And the world needed a rumor and 200 machetes just to prove it still existed. So they found it. They dug it out. But finding something and actually seeing all of it turned out to be two very different things. Even after 1814, Borobudur kept crumbling. Water seeped into the stone for another century and a half, and by the 1970s, engineers were seriously worried the whole structure could give way Between 1975 and 1982, UNESCO and the Indonesian government ran one of the largest restoration projects ever attempted anywhere. More than 1 million individual stone blocks were taken apart by hand, catalogued, cleaned, and put back together like the heaviest jigsaw puzzle on Earth, this time with a modern drainage system engineered directly into an 1100-year-old structure. Roughly 600 people worked on it. It cost just under $7 million. In 1991, UNESCO finally listed Borobudur as a World Heritage Site. But here's the part almost nobody knows. Back in 1885, decades before that restoration, a Dutch engineer named J.W. Zeman found something the original 1814 dig had completely missed. An entire hidden layer. An encasement wrapped around the true base of the monument, sealing it away. Behind it are 160 carved panels depicting something called the Karma Wibanga. Vivid, sometimes brutal scenes of cause and effect. Every sin a person could commit, laid out next to its punishment. Every act of charity, laid out next to its reward. Zeman had the panels uncovered. A photographer named Kashian Cephas spent 2 years, from 1890 to 1891, documenting all 160 of them in detail, one at a time. And then they were buried again, on purpose. The same encasement was put back during restoration, and it is still there right now. Historians still argue about why. Maybe it was structural, added centuries ago to stop the whole monument from collapsing under its own weight. Maybe it was spiritual, a decision to bury the realm of desire beneath every pilgrim's feet, so they would never have to look at their own judgment on the way up. Nobody knows for certain. What we do know is this: if you climb Borobudur today, the minute that you are walking directly over 160 carved scenes of moral judgment you will never see. Because someone a very long time ago decided you shouldn't. This wasn't an accident of history. This was a decision made twice, nearly 1,000 years apart, to bury the exact same thing. We call it a UNESCO World Heritage Site now. Millions of people fly in every single year just to watch the sun come up behind it. But what if that photo, the one you've scrolled past 100 times, isn't actually showing you the whole monument at all? What if the most honest part of Borobudur, the part that actually tells you what an entire civilization thought a human life was worth, is the one part it was built to make sure you would never see? 1,000 years ago, if you had stood exactly where that photo is taken from, there would have been nothing to photograph. No temple, no mountain of stone catching the light. Just jungle and a rumor, a monument so vast that no single king who started it lived to see it finished, erased so completely that it took 200 men and 2 months of machetes just to find it again. And even now, restored, protected, visited by millions of people every single year, it is still quietly keeping a part of itself buried. On purpose. You've probably seen that sunrise photo before. Almost everyone has. And almost none of us have ever seen what is still standing on.